About last class, we started talking about conjugating and doing our charts, right?
Yep.
And I told you guys that there are 4 steps that we need to talk about.
Yep.
All right? So in order to conjugate, let's refresh our brains here. What is step 1?
Define the verb.
Always, always, always define the verb. All right, in other words, tell me what it means. You're going to have a Spanish verb. Tell me what it means in English. All right? It means translate. It means whatever. Define it. Yes, sir. Until somebody shows up. All right? What's step 2?
Drop the ending.
We're going to drop
The end.
the ending. Now, we said there are 3 types of endings. What are those 3 types of endings?
They are
AR, ER, IR. So you look at your verb, find your ending, get rid of it. All right, what's step 3?
start filling the chart.
So we fill the chart with, anybody remember what we call that? With the stem. In other words, with what's left after you drop your ending. So after you drop your ending, fill it in with whatever's left. That's your stem. But that is now an incomplete word. How do we complete the word?
Add the new ending.
Based on what? Add the new ending,
Based off the chart.
more specifically.
Sentence.
The person and the number.
Based on the subject. The person and the number. In other words, who's doing it, how many people are doing it, which we're going to talk more about in a minute. So your job for these charts is to do these 4 steps. You're going to see the chart. There's going to be a verb. Tell me what it means. Drop the ending. Now, we spent the class period talking about what kinds of charts.
AR.
Just AR. So these are all just AR. You drop your AR, fill the chart with what's left, and then based on what we talked about, fill in the new endings. Question. All right, get to work. Okay, so we've got 3 different AR charts. All right, now remember, we said the other day that as long as the endings are the same, your patterns are the same. Right, so that shouldn't make any difference in what we're doing here. So, step 1, define it. What does llevar mean? We got a lot of options, that's fine. We got to take, what else? To take, to wear, anything else?
To bring.
To bring, to carry. Now remember, I said before, did I give you any context for the verb? No. So right now, any of these is okay. If I gave you a more specific example, like we're going to do later with a sentence, then yeah, one of these might not work. But for now, I don't care which one you use. This verb has a lot of different options. It's fine. All right, now, step 2, I'm dropping my ending. So what am I getting rid of? The AR is gone, right? Fill the chart with the remaining stem. That means I'm left with what? Yev. Remember, 2 L's make the sound of a what? Of a Y. So Yev. Look, slow yourself down. Don't skip step 3. Because what happens is people rush through step 3 and we make spelling mistakes here. If you spell a verb wrong when you conjugate it, I can't even give you partial credit. Because spelling is crucial. I'm telling you that we don't change what's left, we only change the endings. And if you start changing other stuff, it's going to be wrong. So make sure that we're good with that. Are we good so far? Now, based on our on what we talked about the other day and what was on that video, my endings. In the yo form, to say I wear or I take, what am I adding? An O. So Yavad becomes Yevo. Right? To say you wear or you carry, what am I adding?
Yes.
AS, so llevar becomes llevas. El, ella, usted, he, she, or you formal wears. An A, so llevar becomes lleva. We wear. I'm adding AMOS. All right, it doesn't need to have me on Snap. Somebody brought that up the other day. All right. Llevamos, we wear AMOS. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, they or you all wear. I'm adding the AN, so llevar becomes lleva. Now, this is your full chart with your new endings. All right? Because these other two are AR enders as well, should my endings be any different? No. Again, same thing. There's 100 AR ending verbs. I'm giving you 3. But I could give you any other list, and the process is the same. The stuff in red, my endings, always the same. Right? Always the same. Make sense? So, these two should be easier. Let's talk through it. What does bailar mean? To dance. No other definition. This one's an easy one. Okay? What am I dropping? The AR. What am I left with? Baila. Again, don't skip this step. Especially if you're not sure with what you're doing yet. Take the time to fill it out before you start throwing endings in there. Because this is where mistakes happen, when we skip this step. Alright? Add the new endings. Again, to say I dance, I'm adding an O. Bailar becomes bailo. You dance. An S, it becomes bailas. El, ella. An A, so baila, we dance. AMOS, so bailar becomes bailamos. And ellos, ellas, ustedes. And so bailar becomes bailar. Are we good so far? Easy enough? So listen, your pattern, O, ASA, AMOS, AM, all the time for regular AR verbs. Right? I'm hoping that now that we're here, it should be even easier. Because we've now done it twice pretty successfully. All right, step 1, define. What's coming up?
To walk.
To walk. Okay? Drop my ending. What am I left with? Camin. Before we add the endings, don't add the endings yet. All right, remember, do not skip step 3. And step 3 says, fill the chart with the remaining step. All right, I'm glad that we knew that, but for some of us, we need to slow down. That's fun. That's why we're doing this step by step. All right? To say I walk, camino. You walk. Caminas, A-S, he or she walks. Camina, add an A, we walk. Caminamos. All right, and ellos, ellas, ustedes. Caminan. A-N. Now, are we good so far? Okay, here's the next step. Or the next thing I want to point out. Because this confuses people a little bit. People tend to think that because something ends in an O or an A, it's talking about either a boy or a girl, masculine or feminine. In verbs, that is not the case. All right? Verbs have no gender. Nouns and adjectives have gender. Verbs do not. And we need to understand that. It's very important that we understand that. The verbs are completely separate, right, from what we're doing. Right? They follow their own set of rules. So just because it's lleva, it doesn't only mean she, it can also mean he. All right? Just because it's llevo, llevo's for who? I. So if I am saying I carry something, I'm a guy, I'm going to end it with an O. Right? If Leah's saying I carry something, talking about herself, it's still going to end with an O, because the O is for the person, the subject, I. not for a guy or a girl. Make sense? All right? Are we good with these? Okay? Because now that we know how to work with this, we have to now start to use this in sentences. Okay? And that's the next step is how do we use this information to create a sentence? So you're going to see something that looks like this. You're going to see a person's name. All right? You're going to see a verb. And then you're going to see the remainder of the sentence. So now your job is to use the information in the charts to tell me that this person does this activity. How do we do that? Narrow it down. We talked about 3 questions. Anybody remember what those questions are?
Am I doing it as the person I'm talking to doing it?
Right. So it's question number 1. Yes. How many people doing the activity? And your answer is going to be either what or what?
Yes or no? Singular or plural?
Singular or plural? You're right. You're right. Leah, you're still right. Singular, meaning one, or plural, meaning more than one. Why is this helpful? What does this help me do to my charts?
Eliminates almost 50% of it.
I eliminate part of it. So remember, if I were to split these charts down the middle, the left side of the chart is my singular part. The right side of my chart is my plural. So based on my answer, it helps me eliminate what I don't need. Right? Then I can ask myself question number 2. Am I involved? And then it's either yes or no. If it's yes, it's the top one. Either this one or this one, and we'll know based on singular or plural. If it's no, we go to question number 3, which is what?
Am I talking to the person?
Am I talking to or about the person? And then that'll help us eliminate the rest. So take this one for example. David bailar en la fiesta. So what's my verb in this example?
Bailar.
Bailar. So it means to dance. What's my next step? I defined it. I drop my ending. I write my stem. Right? David baila. That's not a complete thought. How do I know which ending to pick? Here we go. How many people is David? 1. So I can eliminate everything here. Don't need these. Okay? It just so happens that bailar is this chart. Right? So I can eliminate these 2. I now have a 1 in 3 chance. Am I David? No, don't need this one. Am I talking directly to David? No, because then I would be saying tu or you. I'm talking about him, so David what?
Baila.
Baila en la fiesta. Now look, this is the point I was making before. David is a guy's name. But the verb says what?
Baila.
Baila. Does that matter? No, because the verb has no gender. We know it's baila because we're talking about somebody else. Make sense? Now, the next step for you, not only do you need to create the Spanish sentence, I'm always going to ask you to translate it to English. So underneath your Spanish answer, you simply just type out the English answer. What does it mean when we say David baila en la fiesta? David dances at the, what's a fiesta? Party. So that is now a complete answer. Spanish sentence conjugated, English sentence with the meaning of everything. Good? Do we need to see another example? We're okay? Okay. Now that we have a little better understanding of how conjugating works, we can do the other two charts pretty easy. And we can do these together because they're similar. So ER. The endings. Endings only, right? Yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, nosotras, nothing here. Ellos, ellas. All right? All right, now, again. Concept's the same. I give you a verb that's an ER ending verb. You're going to drop your ending. You're going to fill out your thing. You're going to put it in the new one. So I'm going to give you just the endings. For an ER verb in the yo form to say I, it's still an O. That part's not changing. For the to form to say you, yes. El, ella, usted, he, she, or you formal, E. Anybody seeing a pattern so far?
Yeah, you do with the second.
It just changes the A to an E.
Instead of an A for an AR verb, it's now an E for an ER verb. So, anybody want to take a guess what it is here?
Hemos.
Emos. E-M-O-S. Take a guess here.
And
N. So I can give you an ER verb, and this is what follows. Okay? Instead of O-A-S-A, A-M-O-S-A-N, it's now O-E-S-E, E-M-O-S-E-N. With me so far? Okay? Now we save these and do them at the same time because they're almost identical.
IR.
IR verbs are almost identical to ER verbs. In the yo form, it's still going to be O. In the to form, it's still going to be ES. In the el, ella form, it's still going to be E. Here's where it's different. Here it's I-M-O-S instead of E-M-O-S. In the nosotros form. And then it's going to be E-N again. So these two charts are identical except for the nosotros in the we. All right? E-M-O-S as opposed to I-M-O-S. Otherwise, O-E-S-E-E-N. We see it? All right, so real quick, if I gave you vivir, what is vivir?
To live.
To live. Now that I defined it, what's my next step? Drop the ending, what am I left with? Vive. I'm left with vive 5 times. Is it an ER or an IR? IR. So to say I live,
Vivo.
vivo. You live, vives. He or she lives, vive. We live, vive. Imos, I-M-O-S because it's an IR. And they live, vive. Easy enough? Alright, we get the gist? So again, jot this down, take a picture, do what you want. This is what we're going to start with come Thursday. Questions? Beautiful. Great job today.